Chris, anything you want to see?
Pain.
Either in Nashville or did you say Pain?
Yeah, I did.
Welcome to a more Philly Union. From World Cup to World's End to a week off, we are your hosts. I'm E.
I'm C.
And I'm Paul. Well done.
Yeah, thanks everyone for tuning back in. Yeah, we took an impromptu vacation last week. All of us kind of running around doing stuff and not doing stuff. But we are back this week with plenty to talk about.
Did you miss us?
Yeah, so probably let's just jump right into it.
Yep. We have two games to talk about.
Yeah, it's kind of one of the games that for me is like the game that wasn't and the game that was. I mean, I was traveling for the Chicago game, which was our first one, and it was just, I don't know, it just never really fully registered. I caught up on it and I watched it, but kind of the more exciting one in my mind was the Columbus game. But let's start with Chicago. So we got to go way back to last month, June
Cast
25th.
your mind back.
So Union travel to Chicago where they face off against Jack Elliott's Chicago Fire.
Soldier Field.
Yeah.
Jack
Yeah.
Elliott's Chicago Fire.
What's that?
Jack Elliott's.
Yeah, I
well,
know.
actually, he was captain, wasn't he?
He was.
So I
Was
guess,
he captain? Yeah.
So you're not wrong.
Which hey, good for him. He definitely is he makes a good captain. It is still weird seeing him in somebody else's jersey.
It is.
But yeah, so the Union, let's just get right to it. The Union win this one 1-0, which just further boosted our standings overall.
Pray for Berhalter. Or not. It's up to you. Yeah, Damiani with the PK goal, spurred by a handball, which was a Christie approved handball.
That's what I was trying to figure out. I thought it was something like that.
Yeah, it was, I think, an unconscious movement, but it was definitely putting, kind of.
I almost felt bad for the guy because he does everything. He does the right thing at the beginning of the play where he gets his hands back behind his his hands behind his back, and then his right arm just came way out.
It was fully extended.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, it was not intentional, but it was unquestionable.
It wasn't one of those where it hits, like, grazes a forearm and somebody's calling it a handball. It's like, so pretty obvious. And Damiani bringing down, like the joke I made earlier, bringing down his price per goal once again.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, I was saying to Paul, I would like to see him score in the run of play at some point.
Yeah.
I'm sure he would like that too.
Maybe he's using the Daniel Gazda's playbook. I want to rack up a whole bunch of PKs. I don't know. If that's what he needs to jumpstart his scoring streak, so be it.
I mean, I'll take it.
Yeah. I mean, it was a pretty solid PK.
It was.
It was very solid. Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty much unstoppable. I mean, it was low, it was fast. I mean, I don't even know if the keeper guessed right. I don't think he did.
He barely moved.
I don't think he really even moved. Yeah.
No, I mean, I think maybe he started to go in one direction, realized it was going to the other, and then just saved his body.
Just like,
the impact.
I got the best view in the stadium for this goal.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much, but
also note of this game, Bedoya, this is the first time of these games where he's starting on the defensive line.
Apparently he took it to Bradley and said, they kind of, the team announced or walked through the expected starting lineup. Bradley in his post-game press conference said that they were going to have Lukic play outright, and after the lineup was announced, the next day, Ali came in and talked to Carnell and was like, I think it's better for the team if Lukic stays at that center defensive midfield position, and we have, and I step into that right back position. So Ali ended up playing the whole game, and
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah.
he looked good in this game. Like he did, he got physical when he needed, he gave space when he needed, but he did not get beat.
Hmm.
Um, and he was facing some pretty tough players. That Bombas is no joke as far as an outside midfielder, and Bedoya just looks confident. Look,
Yeah.
used his his experience and his his veteran wiles
Hmm.
to shut down the Chicago attack down
Yeah.
that right side.
Yeah,
Yeah. And
definitely
if
being a captain by stepping in where he was needed. And I think something about letting the young guys play where they play best was sort of the sentiment
yeah,
that I had heard too. So,
our resident Walt Whitman, oh Captain, my Captain,
mm,
and everybody do the little two finger salute when you say it.
mhm.
Yeah, and also, he'll even still get those yellow cards when they're needed. So
Yeah, you got a late yellow card too. In
Yeah,
second half stoppage time, Bedoya got a yellow for
yeah,
unsporting behavior in the whatchamacallit, Chicago game.
yep. 5 yellows for us total, but yeah, he got one in stoppage. You're right.
so yeah, I don't know. It was kind of I mean, it's definitely a low scoring game. I don't know. Any final thoughts on this one?
Yeah, it was good to see Bedoya back there. It was good to see the defense lock down a shutout. It was good to see
Hmm.
Rick get that in his
Hmm.
start. There definitely was some scrappiness in this game, but it didn't quite bubble up like it had when Errors was with Fire.
That's right. Yeah.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
but on the whole, it was. I would agree with you, E, that between the two games, this was the less entertaining game to watch
Hmm.
Hmm.
as a fan, but ultimately it was a more successful
Yeah, the
game
better
for the
result.
Union.
Yeah.
We knew that these two games is there's this long run of away games that the Union are facing or whatever.
Yep. Yep.
Because I think they have Nashville away this weekend
Yep.
before they come home for the Red Bulls game, which we'll get into later. But yeah, it was definitely a game that you're grateful to get the 3 points. You were a little bit lucky. I mean, it was
Hmm.
clear handball, clear penalty kick, but they didn't generate a ton of chances from what I remember in this game. Challenged the keeper once or twice or so, but I don't remember them. I don't remember any other attempts where it was, Chicago clearly robbed them of any goals.
Yeah. Yeah. It was kind of a nice, simple one goal victory that gave us 3 points and just further secured our spot at the top of
Hmm.
the total league table. So
And then just outside of the actual game, it was nice to see Jack sort of reuniting with some of the other players, like especially Glesnes. Yeah, there would seem to be some uh hugging and a bit of friendliness once the
yeah.
competition was over.
Well,
Yeah.
those two shared that back line for so
Yeah,
long together.
Yeah,
yeah.
They're
right.
practically inseparable.
Yeah,
I
that's true.
watched this with Scoops up in the mountains, and she was saying, "Oh,
Oh,
look, like yeah."
they're still
So
friends.
yeah,
Yeah.
so nice to know because I know that it kind of felt like he left on slightly hard feelings, because they weren't willing to pay him what he felt he was worth. It's nice to know that that didn't extend to his compadres, I guess.
Yeah.
It's interesting because I
So,
think they're paying more for Glesnes now than
mm,
Jack's getting at Chicago. I mean, they're
interesting.
both they're both over a million, so
Hmm. Yeah.
that would be kind of an expensive back line to have two
Hmm.
center defenders
Mm.
making a million plus each. Now, granted, we're kind of jumping a bit, but jumping ahead a little bit. I mean, Glesnes did make the All-Star game as
Yep.
well as Ty Baribo. Ty got voted in by the fans and the press and media. And Glesnes didn't get voted in, but he was a coach's selection.
Wow, wow.
Oh,
That says
Yeah.
something.
Yeah, so the coach of Austin FC, who's going to be running the All-Star team against the Mexico League team, Mexican
Hmm.
mm,
All-Star team,
hmm.
he actually selected Glesnes for
Interesting.
the
Hmm.
teams. Yeah, the Union are going to have two representatives on the All-Star game, in the All-Star game. So congrats to both of them, and congrats to Ty for finally getting out of Israel and getting back to the United States.
Yeah, right.
Mhm. Hopefully he
Yeah.
heals up quickly now.
Hmm. Well, let's jump to game two. Um, this past Sunday, right? Was
Hmm.
it with Apple bills it as Sunday Night Soccer? I
Yeah.
don't know how successful of a branding that is, but um, I guess it's got a little bit of an alliteration to it. But yeah, so Union continuing their summer vacation about the country around in Columbus. This was a little bit of a more of a 6 point game, right? To use
Yes.
that phrase, because well, I mean, I think Columbus was in third place going into this, so these games, getting those away points is going to be that much more important. Um, but yeah, so we'll get to the spoiler, right? The Union lose this 1-0.
Yep. Yep.
Um, and this game was, for me, this game was a lot more exciting. But let's kind of first things, right? Lineup again. Bedoya starting back in that right back defensive position.
Blake was
Um,
in net for the first time since
yep,
since Jamaica got eliminated from the Gold Cup.
yep,
Mhm.
yep. Um, which then prompted us to go look up how the Gold Cup was going on because I was like, "Are we still in it?" I don't even know. Yeah, Danley Jean-Jacques was back, which is, that's double two thumbs up for me. And the other one too, with note was Marcus Anderson starting up front, which I was pretty excited to see.
Mhm.
I feel like he's getting his mojo back here, right?
Mhm.
He's broken the curse. I don't know, whatever it is, but it feels like there's potentiality there waiting to be unleashed. Um, I
This
got
was a
pulled.
very entertaining game.
This was a
Uh,
very entertaining game.
yeah. I mean, I know it was only 1-0, but that's not the story of this game. It definitely felt like a bit of a tale of two halves in that
100%.
the first half of the game was a little sloppier. It seemed like neither team could really generate good attacks, but they were at each other consistently throughout the first half. And in
Hmm.
all honesty, the second half, like the Union seemed to be the ones on the front foot.
Mhm.
I agree. Yeah. It felt like there was a lot of like I'll call it incomplete passing. Like I just felt like,
Yep.
Columbus player, Columbus player, Columbus player to Union, Union
Yep.
player, Union player, Union player to Columbus. It's like they would just pass it into these, well, they were poor passes and they were easily intercepted. I just kept this going back and forth. Um, but yeah, people were pressing. I felt like Columbus was pressing. Like they gave us no room, which I think slows us down. Right? I think it kind of turns the game into a grind, which often benefits us.
Yes.
We're happy to grind stuff out. But Farsi was definitely problematic in this game for Columbus. He was very dangerous. As you say, he gets the goal there and landing time of the first half, right? As all things tend to happen.
Mhm.
But yeah, the second half I feel like it was mostly the Union. In fact, I think during the game they showed the whatever that horizontal momentum bar is, where like it's this horizontal bar where it's like which way team A or team B, up or down. I think almost the entire second half it was all just Union blue. Um, yeah, I don't know. For me, and maybe I'll just kind of get to the ending part. For me was, well, I remember they interviewed Nancy after the game, right? The coach.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Wilfred Nancy.
Wilfred
Hmm.
Nancy, and he said it was a win that felt like a loss. And I was
Oh,
like, yeah, because basically he was saying how they were it was a win. He was happy they got the points, but they made a lot of errors on the field. The Union were pressing hard. It was almost like we won, but right.
Right.
And I
mhm.
feel like the flip is also true. It was a loss that kind of felt like a win, because we were just controlling that second half. And I feel like if we had like another 5, 10 minutes, right, the whole um, what's
Running
his
out of
name?
time. You don't
Well,
lose, you
I
run.
mean, I honestly feel like this one, like the crew beat them. The crew beat us. Yeah, the Union were dangerous. The Union were on the front foot, but they couldn't find that way to make their shots count. The
Yeah,
Crew's defense blocked the shots. They
yeah.
they they really did do a good job, giving poor areas for the field for the Union to run into, and they did a good job stopping whatever shots were there. And like you said, they
Hmm.
were intercepting a lot of passes.
Yeah.
Even in the second half, the Crew was definitely in the turtle shell approach. They just kind of pulled up and made the Union come at them. And that said, it was still fun to watch as a Union fan. It
Yeah.
just was a little frustrating that
Oh
we
yeah.
couldn't get any quality shots on frame.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, I wish I could say more, but I had a cocktail with dinner that night and fell asleep by about 35 minutes in. So
This is true.
So you missed all the debuts and the run out of the young players in this
Yes.
Columbus game.
yeah, so
Yeah,
I'm
there
gonna be
was
kind of useless on this one, sorry guys.
I
yeah,
swear I think that the team's average age dropped about 10
like
years from the start of the
exactly.
game to the end of the game.
It almost felt like Union 2 was coming out.
Yeah.
Hey,
But
which might have, been what we needed.
yep. Yeah, they were aggressive, they were active, they were buzzing out there.
So in terms of our subs here, right? So we had Raffanelli came in for Ali,
Hmm.
um,
Right.
which is also interesting because now because
Oh, wait, before we
Yes.
we need to talk about Ali. Go ahead, Christy.
This part I know because he got a yellow card
Yeah, it
within
was
10
20 seconds
seconds.
in.
If yeah, I
oh, that's
mean there
right.
were 20 seconds, yeah.
I
So
honestly I think it was 9 seconds. I did
I
it.
think it was under. I think it was just under. But yeah, it was like I don't even know what he did, to be totally frank. But good for him.
It
Yeah,
wasn't a
yeah,
Vinnie Jones red card in the first
yeah.
10 seconds,
No.
but it was definitely a surprise. Like, it was a hard challenge, but and certainly by the rules of the game, yes, it
Yeah,
could be called a yellow, but it's usually
yeah,
don't see them come out that early in the game.
yeah,
And I almost wonder if that affected the way Bedoya played in this game versus the Chicago game, where he was
yeah,
a little more physical in the Chicago game. In this
Hmm.
game, he seemed to lay off a little more and wasn't quite as successful.
yeah. Yeah, this ref, as I was saying to Christy, he fails the Julio test, which
Hmm.
is our friend's dad. He was a FIFA ref, and he was famous for saying, "When you notice the ref, they're doing a bad job." And I
Yep.
really felt like, there were a lot of cards flying around. In fact, I mean, I'm just pulling up the numbers here. The Union got 6 yellow cards, which is on the higher side for us. And the fact that Ali was the captain. Okay, it wasn't even a tackle. It was just like he grabbed the guy by the shoulder. It's kind of
That's
the
right.
the last defender kind of argument. I get it, but I mean,
That's right.
9 seconds into the game, I feel like it warrants a very strong warning. I don't know if it's a yellow card. Of course, it's always the ref's prerogative to do that. But this ref, I felt like was just, you know, he was getting paid by the yellow card.
Yeah, he may have been wearing yellow under his referee gear, is what you're saying?
Yeah, right. All of his Hallmark cards are yellow. I don't know.
Yeah.
Um, Yeah, so I felt like that yellow card was it was a little much.
And then the other thing that was frustrating was the restarts and how Columbus would slow them down. And, Wagner bounced it off of a Columbus
yeah,
player like 3 times and then got a talking to from the ref. And it's like I do understand it. It's like, the ref's clearly seeing that Wagner's
yeah,
just playing it off the player.
yeah,
But at the same point, those players aren't retreating. Like if they're backing away from the ball, if they're moving away from the ball, okay, they're at least slowly making space for the game to get restarted. But one of them, literally, Wagner was passing it back towards Glesnes, and there was a crew player between him and Glesnes that wouldn't get out of the way. And it's like, I didn't get that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It,
Don't get
it-
me wrong. I'm not a fan of the subtler mind games that a lot of players do with making use of the referee to affect
well,
the results of the
yeah,
game.
yeah.
But I didn't agree with some of these calls.
I think I think it was in the second half where Wagner was taking another free kick and he just kicked it right into the player because the Columbus player because they weren't backing up. And I did he get a card for that? He might have gotten a card. And I understand the feeling behind that, but I think Wagner was wrong on that because if they're too close, you got to say to the ref, "Hey ref, this guy's too close. You got to tell him to back up." Like Wagner didn't even do that. He put the ball down. The guy wasn't backing away, so he just kicked the ball into him.
Yep.
So it was a very Philly answer or
Yeah,
solution to
yeah.
that question. Um,
But
but
wasn't
yeah,
there one of them where, Wagner did that, and it went off the crew player and then right back to the crew, and the referee just let it go on. Like, he's like, fine, you want to play this game?
yeah,
You're going to put the ball back into play, bounce it off. I'm just going to let it go. They won the
yeah,
ball. Congrats. You just are out of a
yeah,
free kick. And yeah, yeah, it just seemed petty.
yeah. It was weird, but I just felt like if the wind just blew a slightly different direction and we had like another 5-10 minutes, this could have been our game. I think I agree with you. Like obviously we're controlling the second half, but we just can't get the ball into the net. Well, then it doesn't make any difference if we weren't controlling the second half. So it did take the sting out of the loss. Also, still being in first place takes the sting out of the loss. Although I don't like that logic because there may come a time later in the season where we're going to wish we had those 3 points.
Yep. Yep.
Um, I feel like we have two games now that we're going to wish we had those points. So I should probably be making a note of this one.
And the
But
Union did have, like you said, they had chances, like even up until the last play when Wagner had that free kick. Bueno got his head to it and he just put it wide. And you
yeah,
see Bueno laying on the field
yep,
after that play, like he knows
yep,
that was his opportunity to make a dent in this game
yeah.
and rescue something for the Union, but just wasn't meant to be.
So with this loss, right? So one win, one loss. We're still hanging on to first place. I
Although
think,
the unbeaten streak has ended now.
yeah, what we were 13 weeks unbeaten, something like that.
I
It
think
was,
11 MLS games.
11
well,
games, yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
because I remember one of the announcers saying the last time the Union lost was like in April, and I was just like, or maybe March, no, April, and I
Mhm.
was like, holy cow, we really have gone the distance
Yep.
in terms of not losing. So, um, yeah, so we're still sitting in first place. Still got a healthy part of the season left. Um, and yeah, so next game coming up for the Union is this Saturday, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Um, will be at Nashville. Um, Arguably another 3-point game because I believe Columbus moved up to second and now Nashville's in third place. And Nashville, like their chicken sandwiches, are hot. Thank you. Thank you.
I
Um,
saw that one coming. You had the semaphore flags out. I knew where it was going. You still got me on it. Well done.
um, yeah, well, thank you. Um, yeah, they've won their last three games, drew two previously, won the one before that. I mean, they are kind of in a similar run of games right now. Um, so I'm sure they're going to be looking to keep that momentum going. So I think feels like the Union are going to have a little bit of an uphill fight here. I'll just say a little bit. I think they're going to have an uphill fight on this one.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Mhm.
Playing away is never easy. Playing away at Nashville is always going to be hard. I think that's Geodis Park. They're going to be looking to get some points out of this one. So it'll be definitely a struggle for Union. And it'll be interesting to see who the Union play.
Hmm.
They had a bunch of young players. Kudos to Carnell for rotating. And we'll have to see who's getting healthy and who can get the time. Because it definitely would be nice to get a win in Nashville before having to take on Red Bull.
Yeah.
But like we said, Nashville's hot, and that's not an
Hmm.
easy thing. I think we should all expect a loss here and hope for a surprise tie or win.
Hmm.
Yeah. And I
And
feel like Nashville, go ahead, Christy.
we're getting to that part of the schedule too, where for a while we've been playing people who or teams that were farther away from us on the table, and now I think that's we're getting to the part where we're playing people who why I keep saying people teams. Well, anyway, but yeah, so we're playing teams that are closer to us or are doing better this season, so it's just that much more of a challenge beyond the fact that we're also on the road.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I just got some data here from our Trevor the intern. So just historically, and by that I mean I used an AI to generate these results. So the Union and Nashville have gone head to head 11 times, and surprisingly, we've won five of those. For some reason, I feel like recently Nashville has kind of had our number a little bit.
Mm.
But in the last six meet or encounters, we've won three of the last six. Nashville has won two, and I guess we drew the sixth one.
Hmm.
So it's, historically, of recent history, I guess it's kind of, it's still up in the air. It can go either way. So, um, hopefully now with more Union players being back, we'll be able to field a more, you know, veteran, uh, cohesive squad. Um,
Yeah.
so thanks, Trevor.
So yeah, so we have Nashville Saturday, but then we'll be starting another bit of a busy period because we on Wednesday the 9th is the US Open Cup game against the New
Yep.
York Red Bulls.
Yep. Yep.
And then Saturday the 12th is rivalry night against the New York Red Bulls.
I
Do
honestly
you
thought
are
they
they
were
just
going to
gonna stay?
move.
Do you think they'll just stay in town?
Just
Do you
stay in
think
town. The
I,
team's
I
so nice.
honestly
We're going to
thought
play
they
them
were going to
twice.
move that game on the 12th,
and yet
somewhere else
no.
in
Yeah.
this schedule.
No.
I was surprised that they did not.
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. It's
So
just going to be so weird. It's going to be like, I don't know, deja vu.
Vujade. Hopefully they win them both, and
Hopefully win them both.
yeah.
Yeah. If you could
So
only pick one game for the Union to win, which one would you pick?
out of the three, the
No, just between the
Nashville.
two Red Bull games.
Oh, well, that's easy. The Open Cup game.
Yeah, I want the Open Cup.
So, and then not to really go far out, but 4 days later, we play Montreal, and then 3 days later, Houston.
Jeez Louise.
So, and
In
then there's a
Houston,
week-long break. Yeah, that's in Houston, from what
that'll
I
be
can
interesting
see.
to seeing McGlynn on the field for Houston.
Hmm. And then it's a week. Then it's back to sort of a somewhat more normal programming.
Man,
But yeah,
my
it's a bit of a May all over again
yeah,
kind of thing. So,
my legs are tired just even thinking about it.
hmm.
Yeah. No, definitely it's going to be tough. But honestly, I do think that they'll show up. I think they'll show up for the Red Bull games.
Yeah.
They'll
Hmm.
want to get those victories. They'll want to advance in the Open Cup. They'll want to start getting some points back because if they do lose against Nashville, then that's, two straight games, two straight losses after the 11 game win streak. They're going to want to restart the winning ways. And, in all honesty, a home MLS game and a home cup game, they should win both of those games.
Yeah.
It'll be tough though. You're playing the same competition twice, so there won't be any surprises in it for sure in that second game.
Red Bulls are currently in seventh in the East. So,
Yeah.
not certainly not a team to count out.
We'll have to see what team they field this weekend before they play us or before they play us next
Mhm.
Wednesday. Um, yeah. This is a this is a quarterfinal game, so one of three potential games left, right? Before we get we race that cup. Man, I know we've talked about the Open Cup, right? Is it worth, not is it worth it, but do we go all up for the Open Cup? Do we focus on MLS Cup? The closer we get to this thing, the more I'm like, yeah, this is a demon that needs to be exercised, right? Because we made it to the final twice, and we gotta rectify that issue. We gotta,
win that silverware.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm looking forward to next Wednesday. But yeah, it would be good. Gosh, right? So what do you want to see like in Nashville? What do you want to see next Wednesday? Like Nashville, I don't want to see anyone get hurt. Because our guys are all coming back. I want everybody healthy. I mean, of course I would like the win. But I don't know.
I kind of see a rotation squad in this game. They did bring up what's his name, Neil Pierre. So maybe they'll let him get a start next to Makanya on that defensive line. I would hope that Mbaizo or Westfield are healthy enough to get at least 45 minutes of the
Yeah.
game in Nashville. You know, and I'd love to see them be a little more creative in the finishing. Find some ways to get dangerous shots on frame.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily have to convert them into goals, but see some real shots that get to the keeper and make the keeper work. It's a lot to do, but I kind of wonder if they'll let Saul and David get back out there and just go be kids out there, go have fun, and go make something happen. Go find a team and make it happen. Could be. I don't know.
Yeah, I'd like to see my new favorite. I like to think this is like a buddy cop show of Danley and Lukic in the midfield. Um, you know,
Does that make Bedoya the captain that's
Yep.
always
It's got to
guys
haul
are
their
screwed
butts into their office to chew them out for,
Yep.
flagrant disregard for the rule of law. One's a by the book, no nonsense midfielder. The other one's a maverick shooting from the hip.
But which
But
one's the Maverick shooting from the hip between Danley and Lukic?
that's a good question. Kind of neither, but I'll say Lukic just because he just tees up those longer range shots, which is a little
And I could agree with that because definitely Lukic seems to have that attacking bend a little more so than Jean-Jacques and Danley does
yeah. Although in the Columbus game, just again, Danley was just fantastic. I mean,
everywhere.
just the guy's heat map
Here,
is
he's
just
there.
it's
Yeah.
yeah. But hopefully the defensive line is back and healthy enough that Lukic and Danley can get their that center midfield spot locked down again. You know, no shade on Bueno either.
Absolutely. You could argue that he was one of the more dangerous
Yeah,
players, at least in the Columbus game.
yeah. I mean, he had that header, man. It was his to miss, I guess.
Is to make
But
make it happen.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And then on Wednesday, I just want to see the Union just take it to New York. Just
Nice solid 6-0 victory. I'd deal with that.
I, you know, all respect to Red Bull fans, especially Mark if he's listening, but I hope the Union just put the beat down on them 3-0. That's what I would love to see on Wednesday night. Just no, but now that I say that, we know what's going to happen. It's going to go to PKs. And then we're going to be that much tired. But fortunately, we'll still be playing the same team again on Saturday. So we're all going to be tired.
It's essentially a soccer doubleheader.
Pretty much.
Yeah. It's a home and home
Yeah.
where both of them are at home.
Yeah. Chris, anything you want to see? Or
Pain.
either Nashville or did you say pain?
Yeah, I did.
What were you guys talking about before the game, Paul? About it was like Eagles line about like doesn't matter who we're
Yeah.
going up against.
Lane Johnson was given the pregame pep talks for the offensive line this year, and one of them was the Pittsburgh game. He said, "We don't choose our opponents. We don't choose the schedule. We don't choose the location. But you know what I choose? I choose violence."
That's it. So, Christy, is that what you're hoping for on Wednesday?
Yeah, pretty
Okay.
much. Not for us. No, I don't know. I couldn't think of anything. I mean, yeah, so again, RSTLNE, I want them to win.
That's right.
But yeah,
Bing,
so
bing.
but yeah, I would love for us to finally see the Open Cup through
Yeah.
if we're in for a penny at this point. I'd like to be in for a pound, but since those initial games, we're doing quite well in the actual league too. I think that in my mind there was a point where it's sort of like, well, we're probably not going to get too far in the league. We'll do all right, but maybe we
Yeah.
can get Open Cup. And now it's like, oh, but we're kind of still doing real well in the league too. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Like it's still big, but I don't want it to interfere with anything else that's going on. But I don't
Yeah.
think it will. I don't think it will. Just one game here. I don't know when the next game would be scheduled for. Hopefully not too many games on top
Yeah.
of each other, but
Yeah.
schedule's already like that regardless.
Yep.
So yeah, so I'd love to win as long as as long as it doesn't jeopardize anything that's going on with the rest of the season.
Hmm.
But it would really be nice to see that through finally after all these near
Yeah.
misses.
Absolutely. All right. Well, as we mentioned before, Baribo and Glesnes got selected for the MLS All-Star game, which again, part of the traveling roadshow. That's going to be on Wednesday, July 23rd, and that will be in Austin. So we'll talk more about that as we get closer. Um, we're going to talk about some FIFA Club World Cup stuff in a second. So real quick though, Gold Cup. So the U.S. today beat Guatemala to make it to the final. So, and right now, Christy, if you want to look up the scores, Mexico
So
is playing
still nil
Honduras.
nil. We're only 32 minutes in
Okay.
at the time of
So,
recording.
yeah, whoever wins this Mexico-Honduras game will face the U.S. in the final. And I gotta say, I would have lost money because when this summer, just even with the few friendlies before Gold Cup started, Pochettino just I think he's a great coach. The team just looked like it didn't know who they were. I don't know. It was just I did not have high hopes coming into Gold Cup. And I got to say I'm wrong here. I mean, they are starting to figure it out. So um, that is good for them, good for us. And yeah, I don't know who I want to face off in this final. I kind of do know who I want to face. Well, there's reasons for either of these two, but yeah, I mean, hey, in some respects, the U.S. making it to the final with the way they looked like a month and a half ago, that they've already won, you know.
Right.
So uh, yeah, maybe well, no, we'll be done recording. So, but anyway, we'll find out a little bit later who the U.S. will be facing in the final. All right, let's get to our last topic here, the FIFA Club World Cup. We have our resident FIFA representative here, Paul.
Sort of.
Um,
Sort of.
so how many games now have you worked?
I have worked 5 games and I've got 1 game left. The final game in Philly is this coming Friday, July 4th, Chelsea
Wow.
versus Palmeiras, starting at 9 p.m. Apparently there's plenty of tickets left if anybody wants to go, so go buy them. But yeah, it's the final match here in Philly for the Club World Cup, and it's the second game for Chelsea, I think, in Philly.
Okay.
And it's the Christy, is this the quarterfinal? Round of 8 or round of 16? I think it's the
Quarterfinal.
round of 8.
We're quarterfinals.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Quarterfinal. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's been really fun. It's been really good. For the most part, the weather has cooperated. While it's been warm, it hasn't been obscenely hot that they couldn't get away with at least having a couple of hydration breaks and making the games happen.
Yeah.
There's been a bit of rain. Eric, you were at the Real Madrid Salzburg game.
Yep.
That one did get a little wet.
which was
Uh,
funny though. Didn't they take a hydration break during that game?
they
And
did.
it pretty much had been raining the whole time, and it was at night. So go figure.
Yeah.
Um,
It's that wet bulb temperature stuff that
yeah, I
they
guess so, right?
calculate.
I guess so.
But
Yeah,
no, it's been really interesting, like seeing how games like this are managed and put on. It is an army of people that make it happen.
yeah,
Both paid and unpaid volunteers like me and as well as the paid people that keep us organized, plus the event staff. They do a great job trying to keep people, safe and making sure that they're having a good time and getting all the food and beverages options that they want. Uh, and it's been crazy. Like I was talking with one of the security guards there at one point. They had, I think it was for one of the flamenco games. They had confiscated something like 40 bins of fireworks and flares, and they still snuck stuff into the
yeah,
stadium.
right.
Wow.
And the passion of the fans is amazing.
Yeah,
It's so much fun to go there and hear them chanting
yeah,
for their player, chanting for
yeah.
their teams.
Yeah, when we were at that Real Madrid Salzburg game, it was, well, first off, there was like two Salzburg fans in this whole stadium, and it was like 60 something thousand. And even though it had been raining pretty much all day, and it rained through the whole first half, it was packed.
Yep.
Everyone's wearing white, and it's a totally different animal. Like when you go to a game like that and in the link, as much as I love going to Subaru Park and the Union, they're my team and all that, this was just another level.
Oh yeah.
It was just voluminous, if that's a right word. It was just, I mean,
Loud.
my ears were hurting just how loud it was in there. Um, and I think we kind of concluded that I don't think Real Madrid, maybe with the exception of going to Barcelona, I don't think Real Madrid ever plays an away game. It's just, especially when they travel abroad, it is just Blancos from sea to shining sea. It is just, yeah, it was something else. It was something else.
And it was really cool to hear, Madrid,
Yeah,
Madrid,
yeah,
uh, those chants and seeing the fans happy with.
yeah,
Obviously, they were happy with the result,
yeah.
but
Right.
yeah, it was a good time. It was a real good time.
So what was I guess what would be like one surprising thing that what's a surprising thing from this whole experience that you did not, you know,
Huh.
anticipate or see coming? I mean, obviously the
It's
duffel
been
bags
neat.
full of money and all that, sure, we all knew that was going to be there.
It's been neat to actually get out and see the field. The couple times that I've had that opportunity to get out and participate in the pregame warm, not like the volunteers have to do their practice before the players even get to the stadium. So, the volunteers that are running the flags and all that, they need stand-ins for the team. So I got to actually pretend to be some players. I forget which teams. I think it was
Hmm.
Chelsea for one and Flamenco for the other. But to get out and actually get on to Lincoln Financial Field's main field there, it's really neat.
Oh, that's cool.
And like I said, just seeing the massive amount of effort that goes
Yeah,
into making making
Hmm.
these
yeah,
games go off is impressive.
yeah. It's
But it is interesting that even the link has traffic issues getting out of there. It's
oh
Hmm.
my
still tough.
gosh. Oh
As
my
bad as
gosh.
it is in Chester, it's worse in South Philly.
Yeah, I mean that's one thing I love about Subaru Park. Even on the packed games, you're gonna get out of the parking lot, within an hour. It took us almost 2 hours to get out of the parking lot from that game. It
Was
was
there
just,
another event happening? Because I know that happens sometimes. Like, because you're right near other things when you're at the link. You're right
there
near
was the
other.
Phillies
There's
weren't
no other.
playing.
Okay.
Yeah, Citizens was dark. I think we were it. I mean, I don't know. Maybe there
Okay.
was something, but it was just. It took us almost 2 hours to get out. It was just, yeah. I mean,
I
we
re
weren't in a rush, so it was fine.
No, but I remember years ago we went to see Real Madrid play the Union, one of those
That's
exhibitions.
right.
That was
Yeah.
just an absolute yeah, anyway, so that was when, oh, I
It was
can't
one
remember
of the
his name,
far
but
fans.
it's still in net though for Real Madrid.
Was Casillas still in that?
Casillas was
Oh, was
in
he
that.
still in that? Okay.
Yeah, so that's pretty much why I wanted to go.
Yeah.
But I remember how packed that was, and I do think there was something else the same night, and that was I remember the traffic to get there
Yeah.
was, it's red when it's bad on Google. This was actually like this deep blood red
Blood
that I
red.
didn't even know they
It was just
had.
Yeah.
black.
It
Yeah.
was pretty close. It was like you park your car and walk.
What
But
color is the is the screams of the damned? I don't know what
yeah,
color that would be.
that's it. Yeah, I was curious if something else was going on. That's the one thing about having all the stadiums in the same place was if you do have a snafu like that.
Yeah.
Hopefully they try to avoid it, but I guess I'm sure sometimes it's inevitable.
Yeah.
But
All right. Well, one more game for Paul, and then he can hang up his FIFA cleats for
Yeah,
at
then
least
I'll just get to
hopefully
wear
one
then I'll
year.
just get to wear my uniform because I want to wear it or whatever.
I know, right?
Gotta
you
keep
can
it
wear
gotta
your
keep it clean
uniform.
for now.
Yeah.
Eric can wear his flight suit.
Yeah,
It'll
right.
be a
When
whole
that's a
thing.
flight suit, you go wear your FIFA uniform.
That's right.
People are gonna be like, "Who the hell are these guys?" There's gonna be some very confused Wawa employees. Oh man. Anyway, real quick, Christy, any updates on the Mexico Honduras game?
Still 0-0, nearly the end of the first
All
half.
right, in the first half. All right, well, let's wrap this up so we can watch the second half.
Sounds
Okay,
good.
anything else?
No.
Nope.
All right, if you want to join in our conversation, you can find us at our website, amorephillyunion.com. Send us any questions or comments, thoughts via email or on our socials, particularly Instagram. And we'll be sure to respond, include them on our podcast, give you a shout out. So you can email us at pod@amorephillyunion.com. On Instagram, YouTube, Threads, and Blue Sky, we are a More Philly Union. If you need some background music, check out our Spotify playlist. Just search for a More Philly Union and click on the one that's got the little music notes. Um, if you want a More Philly Union swag, you can go check out our online store. Just go to our website or check out our link tree to get the link to see those things. Download and subscribe our podcast wherever you get yours. And while you're at it, go show some love to one of our favorite forces for good in the Unionverse, and that's the Philadelphia Union Foundation. You can check them out at philadelphiaunionfoundation.org. So thanks everyone for tuning in for another episode of A More Philly Union. We are your hosts. I'm E.
I'm C.
And I'm Paul.
Go
Union. And kittens.
Yeah, it's funny. Real quick side story. When I was out in Detroit the other weekend, James, Miguel, and I were sitting at lunch, and Bananarama's "Cruel Summer" came on, just playing over the
Cruel,
speakers.
cruel, cruel summer.
And every time I hear that song, and I said this, I always think of Karate Kid.
Yes.
It's used in Karate Kid. Thank you. And James goes, "Oh yeah, it was also used in Real Genius." I'm like, "It was?" And he's like, "Yeah, during like the montage scene when they're kind of all working hard and studying and all that stuff." I'm like, "Really? Hold on." So I pull up some AI, I forget which one I was using, and I go, "What movies was Bananarama's Cruel Summer used in?" And the first one it says was Real Genius, but it
That's because
doesn't
your
mention
phone was
Karate
listening to
Kid.
you.
So I'm like, well, was it used in Karate Kid? And it said no, it was not. So I was doubly wrong. I thought it was in Karate Kid. Hold on. I thought it was in Karate Kid, and I didn't think it was in Real Genius, and it actually said it was the opposite. I'm like, I don't accept that. Yep, I'm doing exactly what you're doing, Paul. I went to Karate Kid, the scene on the beach, right? And they're
Yeah.
playing like all that. And it's in there. It's in the Karate Kid. And then I found the scene in Real Genius, the montage when they're all working hard. And it was just some like 80s style montage music. And it was like, so it was doubly wrong.
Yep.
Like It was so weird. But anyway,
So it's everybody has the same Mandela effect of where Cruel Summer appeared and fed it into enough AI blogs that
yeah,
fed into the AI that now it's
yeah, yeah.
it's
Apparently,
become a thing.
we're gonna need a bigger boat.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.